Broadcasting LLC and its management or its sponsors.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to Voices being brought to you by Radio Zindagi. I'm Rennu Dhillon from Genius Kids. Always happy to be here, and especially this month, because this month, in the month of April, we are celebrating the remarkable self journeys of women, which is, as you know, my favorite subject. So before I introduce our guest for today and our first guest, I want to give you some quotes that'll get you thinking a little bit. One of them is, a strong woman is a woman determined to do something others are determined not to be done. That was done by Marge Piercy. And that's what you're going to be meeting today. Two remarkable women who are determined to do things that other women probably avoid doing. In addition to that, I also believe that a woman with a voice is by definition a strong woman, but the search to find that voice can be remarkably difficult. No, not for Radio Zindagi, not for Seba. She has this knack of being able to track down the most amazing women and gives me the opportunity to always interview them. So on that note, thanks Seba and Neeraj of Radio Zindagi for always giving us this platform. Let's begin our show as we celebrate the remarkable self-journey of so many women around the world. We're going to begin today with none other than the very pretty Beena Ammanath. I hope I said that right, Beena. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did, Renu. Thank you so much for having me as a guest.
No, you're welcome. Quick introduction, although she'll probably you need a whole day to read all about this young lady, but I'm going to give you a quick introduction. Beena is the executive director of Deloitte AI, and if anyone wants to know what that means, Artificial Intelligence Institute, and the founder of nonprofit Humans for AI. She's an award-winning senior executive with extensive global experience in artificial intelligence and digital transformation with companies such as HPE, GE, Thomson Reuters, British Telecom, Bank of America, E-Trade, and a number of Silicon Valley startups. She has co-authored the book, AI Transforming Business, a well-recognized thought leader in the industry. She also serves on the advisory board at Cal Poly College of Engineering and has been a board member and advisor to several startups. Beena thrives on envisioning and architecturing how data, artificial intelligence, and technology in general can make our world a better, easier place to live for all humans. I'm right, just that reading all of that, I've got all this stuff going on in my head, Beena, like, oh my gosh, I teach young children, so this has already gone like, whoo. This is amazing. So let's talk about Beena. Let's get to know who Beena is. I'm sure all the people listening in want to know a little bit about who you are. So let's learn a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. Where do I start, right?
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background and who inspired you growing up.
Yeah. So growing up, I actually wanted to be a pilot. I was growing up in India, and I used to see these planes, and this was during the 70s and 80s. Totally dating myself here, and seeing a plane flying in the air was the most beautiful thing for me. And I was like, I wish I could fly. So becoming a pilot was a dream, and but as I grew, and I started realizing that my real strength was in math, and I just not, I can't say that I loved math, but it was just easy for me. It was something that I didn't even have to study for, right? So computer science was something very new that had just come to they just started. I think I was the third batch that was admitted for
Mm-hmm.
computer science, and it was something new and exciting, and I said yes, this is an area I want to explore. It seems very close to mathematics, and so college should be easy and fun, so I'm just going to go do computer science. So that's how my journey in computer science started, and really whole area, I think I got lucky. It just exploded, and now we are in this era where it's all about everything is anchored around digital technologies.
Correct.
In my career, so look, I've studied all the programming languages, the infrastructure side, but throughout my career, I stayed anchored on data, right? How to structure data, how to use data, how to, get insights from data, how to make our lives better with data. So, growing throughout my career, you listed out that, all the company names. It's always been anchored on data, and then right from whether it was starting with using data to do simple tasks to getting to doing more complex reports, which was the era of business intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got into this world of big data and data science and AI. So it's just happened that being close to data helped me grow in my career. and got to that spot where artificial intelligence, which I'd studied back in the 90s, which all in theory, started happening for real, right? So I think my life and my career, I don't think I could have planned for it. There is no way I could have planned to have such a rich and robust career,
Mm-hmm.
exploring all these different industries. Like I know, I've worked in a telecom company, worked in a bank, financial services, in a manufacturing floor, with aviation, with power, different industries. And it was, I think, Renu, one thing that kept me going was my curiosity, right? If I got too comfortable, if I knew everything that from a data perspective
Mm-hmm.
about an industry, if I felt that I was getting too comfortable, it was time to push a little bit and go and explore what else is out there. What are others doing with data? So I think that has helped me get to where I am in my career today, and it's served well.
And but I look at this resume and I'm thinking, you're too young to have. I mean, how did you manage to span so many companies? You look like you just graduated from college.
Renu,
So
you are being very kind. You just made my day. Thank you.
so my question to you is, for the layman person who doesn't understand artificial intelligence, could you explain what that is?
Yes, I think the best way to explain it is really about taking, it's actually about taking the work that doesn't need much human intelligence and automating it so that you can do, live a more richer life. That's
Mm-hmm.
the, optimistic view of AI, which I aspire to and which I work towards. So, like we don't have to really, if you think about it, even the era of the digital world,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't really need good handwriting anymore, right? I remember when I was studying, there were extra marks given for good handwriting,
Right.
right? And you had to, scribe a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And now think of, spell check, right? We don't really have to remember all the spells
Right.
because the software does it for you. So those are just simple examples of AI. Or you think about it like, a decade or so ago, I remember that, I used to actually print out directions or looked at those large maps to figure out
Right.
how to get
Mm-hmm.
from point A to point B. And in my head, try to figure out what's the most optimal way, what's the fastest and most
Mm-hmm.
efficient way to get there. But now with AI, a lot of that is automatically taken care of, right? Because that's really mundane, boring. I mean, how much fun is there in spending hours on a map? I mean, it could be a hobby, but really, if you're just trying to get from point A to point B, and if a software can do it for you in a faster way, that's the capability of AI in totally layman terms.
Absolutely. And in actual fact, when I moved in this country 30 years ago and I was trying to figure out my way around, I still remember carrying that book and looking up maps and having to stop the car and stuff. And where did you grow up? Did you go to school in India or here?
Absolutely. I grew up in India. I, did all my schooling there, and I came here for my first job at a startup. And this happened to be right during, the 2000 when the, bubble was just beginning to burst, right?
Right.
So I was here for that 2000 crash. And but I learned a lot during that experience. And I had worked in India as well. I was working in British Telecom, so between UK, India, and then I moved to the US.
I have a whole bunch of questions for you, but we're also getting questions from our listeners. So I definitely do want to address one of them since we talked about where you were being raised as a child. One of the questions is, I work with kids. How would my teachers or me spot a child leaning towards technical skills or IT or software? I mean, did your parents figure out, I have a little genius over here?
I don't think so. I think they always were. It was. I like to think that I was the easy kid for my parents, so they may not agree. But I think it just came easy, and a lot of the education in India is around how much can you memorize. You
Mm-hmm.
contents,
Yes.
concepts, and memorize it, right? And yeah, I think there was a leaning. And as I said, I don't think computer science was a degree offered at that time, was very well known. It was
Mm-hmm.
mostly around engineering or become a doctor, right? It took
Correct.
Indian middle class dream is, you become an engineer or a doctor. From, this is of the 70s and 80s, right? That's the
Right.
dream. And in fact, I remember when I said I wanted to do computer science, it was a shock to my parents. They're like, really, you want to do that? You don't want to go, do engineering? No. Anyway, so to answer your, the audience question, I would say, yeah, really, there is, I think there are a lot of myths around it that you need to be good at math or you need
Hmm.
to be good at science, and that's not true.
Okay.
Computer science, if you think about, the broader digital world or the software that's being built, there are programmers, there are scientists that's needed, but you also need designers. That
Right.
means, somebody who's good on the creative side, somebody who's good at arts. There is needs for product owners or product managers who can look at about how do you apply technology in the real world. So I think, there is, it should be, everybody should know about the capabilities of technology so that they can choose, what role do they want to play in this space. We've definitely moved past that era of where you absolutely need to be a software engineer or a data
Right.
scientist to be part of a technology team. It's more about encouraging and providing basic tech fluency. What does software mean? What are the different jobs available here? What, where do you want to focus on? If you are, doodling all the time and are more creative, great, go down the path of a designer or a UX developer, right?
That's a very good point you brought up, is creativity and imagination, because we do restrict ourselves to math and science and not realize that there is a whole era of other things that people can get into.
And Renu, if I might add, there's also that, I think now the age we are living in, it's actually there's even a need for philosophers and historians because,
Yes.
the ethical implications of technology is at the forefront. And that's where you need to look at human psychology, philosophy, history, how has humanity dealt with in the past? How do you identify the ethics behind technology? And then how do you solve for it? So
Right.
I don't think, irrespective of what you major in, there is a path towards technology, that you can contribute to.
So one of the questions is, you're a Bay Area female Hall of Farmer.
Famous.
Owing to all the work you've been doing, what motivated you to start this journey called Humans for AI to empower mainly women in the minorities? And that's wonderful to know that you want to empower women. I commend that, because I think it's so important for women to support women.
I completely agree. And, actually, Humans for AI is a nonprofit I started in 2017. It's been a couple of years now. And really, it came from the idea because I was, setting up data science teams. I've built data teams and data science teams. I've always been a supporter of getting more women into tech because
Mhm.
honestly, I'm tired of being the only woman in the room, especially as I grow in my career. Most of the times I'm the only woman in the room. So I've always been a supporter and, trying to get more women into technology broadly.
Mhm.
With AI, what was happening is as I started setting up these teams, I started noticing that, it tends to be a very homogenous group that makes it into the data science teams. But you also need all these other, you need designers, you need you need machine learning engineers, you need testers. So
Mhm.
the idea for Humans for AI came from the fact that, how do we train more women, you don't need a PhD in machine learning or a PhD in AI or even mathematics, but can we train a woman on basic AI literacy so that she can be the project manager or the product manager or the designer or the tester, right? Surround this homogeneous group of data scientists by women and underrepresented minorities, and in that way you get diversity to the AI teams. The other big reason, Renu, honestly, is that, we hear a lot about the ethical challenges in AI, and the easiest way, I should say, the simplest way to solve for it is by bringing in diversity of thought. Right?
Right.
Diversity of thought means, women, different races, different genders, but also different geographic backgrounds, different cultural
Mhm.
backgrounds. The more diversity of thought